Hey guys, we're back with another stream, and this time we're doing Java. So we're gonna go off where we stopped last time. I cannot remember, but something about learning about Java DTOs and implementing controllers. Yeah, more of API handlers. I don't know the right name for them in Java, but yeah. So I'm gonna implement those today. I'm probably have a. It's currently 8 in the morning, so some have like a 1 hour 30 session, so 8 to 9 up to around 9:30, and then from 9:30 um I'll move on to something else. So yeah, the gray log in. So I'm going to go through DTOs, how I'm going to do DTOs, and writing um controllers for my routes. Okay, so that's what I'm doing today. And yeah, also I'm obviously going to go through what I've been doing or what I already did, so that I can remember. Okay. Okay. So what I was saying is we're going to start from wherever we are. Okay. That's what we're gonna do. And yeah. So we're gonna start. Yeah. So we're gonna jump in and get things started. Okay. Yeah, I have the GitHub repo. I don't know if we're gonna get to. I'm gonna just have my beep timer here. Okay. So guys, let me start sharing my screen. Okay. Here guys. Let me. Yeah, we got a code in darkness. That's how you log in. How do you guys do it? Let me just do some ambient lighting out here. Okay. What color do we do today? knows when I get sober. Okay, we're gonna do that color right there. Should do something bluish now. That's good. It's warm. It's early morning. Okay. Okay guys, let's jump right in. So I was saying I'm going to set my timer right here. So we're gonna do 1 hour 30. 1 hour 30 minutes. 1 hour 30. Okay, so we're gonna do 1 hour 30. That's it. Oh man. 1. Oh. Okay. Okay, guys. So the first thing I'm gonna do is obviously I'm going to go over what we had. So as you can see over here, I already had the DTOs. Okay, so the DTO, you annotate it with @data. Do I know why we are doing the annotation with @data? We should probably ask AI for that. Okay, yeah, I think when I was doing a bit of Angular, I was using a lot of AI, and AI is really good, especially Grok. It's really good in giving you pointers, like direct pointers, without taking you in a whole okay. I'm just say explain to me the @data annotation. Do we call them annotation, or it's how do we call them? They are how do we call them in JavaScript? How do we call when we put it before function line? Not inline. Bro, this search has the worst context of all time. I just can't get the word. How do we call them? Decorators. Yeah. Oh my goodness. If you're imagine you're in an interview and you're supposed to talk about decorators, and the word decorator can't come back to your mind, that would be crazy. You look like you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah. So decorators, TypeScript, C#, they're in Java. So the data @data is a decorator. Yeah. So what are they? Most something is applied as apply a decorator or an attribute in C Sharp or Java. So in Java we call them attributes, but these are special markers that modify the behavior of a function, class, or property used for function and class decoration. Also, TypeScript 2 has decorators. These ones that we have in Angular. Okay. Yep. C Sharp used to attribute that provide metadata to the compiler runtime. These are attributes. To mark in Java. So these annotations, okay. So decorators, but we'd call them annotations in Java. Yeah, I was right. It is an annotation from Lombok, because they're coming from Lombok. Okay, let's Grok tell us. The data annotation in your code is a powerful shortcut provided by Project Lombok that automatically generates a lot of repetitive boilerplate code for you, especially useful in DTOs like your product DTO. When you put a data on a class, Lombok generates the following for all non-static fields. To string generates a nice to string method including all fields. Equals and hash code generates equals and hash code based on all fields. Getter generates all getters. Generates setup methods for all fields. Required arg constructor generates a constructor for fields that are final marked as null. So it creates all these nice methods. That's fantastic actually. So your product DTO with the date is equivalent to this without Lombok. Oh my goodness, this is a lot of setters, hash code. So you normally write these when Project Lombok was not there. That's a lot of work, a lot of boilerplate. But yeah, I would also love you to tell me more about. There's something I wanted to know more about. Where is it? Oh yeah, tell me about what the final keyword does. Because yeah, what does the final keyword do? Final keyword is the most useful and understood keyword. It simply means this cannot be changed, reassigned after initialization. When you put final, determines exactly what becomes immutable. Here are the places you can use final and what it means in practice. Final int keyword, primitives. So final on primitives of references, the variable itself cannot point to a different object or value. But if it's a reference type, the object it points to can still be mutated unless the object itself is immutable, like a string, integer, or big decimal. Oh, I also need to know about data type. Long. There's a lot to learn. Final field in a class forces initialization, so must be set in the constructor. So this one, so whenever you do this, it has to be set in the constructor. So these are constructor in Java. They're different. In JavaScript you normally have the constructor keyword, but in Java just use the same name as the class and that becomes a constructor. Yeah. Final method parameter cannot be reassigned inside the method, but you cannot do DTO is equals to new DTO. No, compile. Final method cannot be overridden. So if you're asked in an interview, what's the final keyword do? The final keyword is a way of making sure some variable or some value does not change after initialization. I think that would be the best explanation. It cannot be changed or reassigned during initialization. So it's useful when we have values that we definitely don't want to mutate inside a function, a parameter that we don't want to mutate inside of a function, or some variable in a class that once initialized we don't want that mutated. So the only place we are going to be able to update it is in the constructor. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, so we have the product DTO. Okay, so the product DTO more or less is gonna map to you see the models that we have. So we have the product model right here. So yeah, well, we're not using at data here. I think our data is going to generate way more than we need, so we just do the getters and setters, then we do the no arg constructor, then we do the no all arg constructor, then we do the at entity. So this one, what does this one do? I don't know. I don't know. Then at entity comes from Java, I think. Where do we get at entity from? Jakarta persistence. Okay, Jakarta persistent. So at entity tells this one is an entity, is a database entity, and Spring will auto do all the things. I don't know if it. I think it does auto migrations. This one, so it's gonna be dropping the schemas and recreating them whenever you start it. So at ID, this notation. So you can do at annotation at ID. So this is going to be the primary key. Then you do the generated value. When you do UID, or you can do at whatever type you want to do. Okay. Yep. Then there are these many to one, and these ones are when. So for example, when we have categories, we can have many products pointing to a category. So many products pointing to like a single category. So we can have a many to one. Ule mwingine. Okay, so the join column, minute one, many products can be linked to a single category. A join column, so where are we gonna join? We're gonna link them. We're gonna join them at the category ID. That's a unique. What's unique? Then if we come to category, you're gonna see we're gonna have another link here. This unaweza mambo yake. So angalia hapo kwa group. Okay. So, what I was talking about that time was how we, for example, if we check the product, when we check the product DTO, it's more or less the same. Private string ID, it's more or less the same. Yep, it has everything except the things you definitely don't want to be sending to the user. So instead of mapping directly this entity class, guys, be back shortly, man. Guys, we're back, man. Okay, so as I was saying, yeah, if you had a user model, you don't want to map out the passwords. That's what you do. You use a DTO, data transfer object. I don't know other use cases, but yep. So there are other things like these exception and everything, and then we had the repository. What was the repository for? I remember we were just creating the repository so that we can use it in this service. So we had a product. Okay, this doesn't have anything. Okay, we have the product service. So in the product service, what we have in the product service is an interface. So we have an interface. Basically, what interfaces do, they're going to map out how a class, or they're going to map out methods of a class and variables that the class gonna have. So you can see add product returns a product, takes in a product. Get products, same thing, takes in a string, then returns a product. Then there are things like void update, so the update is not going to return anything. Then it's going to take in the product and the string ID. Delete, same thing. Then get all products, get products by category, get all these are going to be list. Then count products by brand name, same thing. Okay, then now we have the product service. So the product service is the class now that implements this. So we're going to use the repository is what you use to interact with your database. So basically JPA. Now JPA is our ODM, object, no, not an ODM, ORM, object relational mapper. Yeah, in this context. So we're gonna use JPA, this repository, which is here. The product repository is going to help us interact with the product model. As you can see, it's coming from there. So yeah, our product service, that's what's up. And then we have at override. So why do we have at override? As you guys, why do we have at override right here? Let's find out from AI. Why do we have at override for each method? Yeah, we call them methods. It's gonna tell us. There's no at override anywhere. I gotta edit that, man. I gotta edit. I have to edit because whenever I did the copy, yep. Is it mandatory? No, it's not mandatory. Your code will compile and run perfectly without a single override, but you should almost always use it. And here is why: it's considered the best practice, and why IDEs and teams love it. What override actually does, so it's telling the Java compiler that I intentionally want this method to override the method from a superclass or implement a method from an interface. Oh, okay. So if you're implementing an interface for, like for this case where we're implementing iProduct service, so if we misspell the interface, then it's going to give us a compilation error. So it's good, it's a best practice. So yep, typo in method main is gonna, so saves you one, there's a typo when the wrong parameters, interface changes in future. Okay, so that's good. So what an override does is it is an implicit instruction to the compiler telling you that we are intentionally, so yeah, it may be an interview question, forgive my stutter guys, I'm new to Java, I don't have these terms with me, so I'm thinking on the fly. So if they ask you what is at override and where do we use it, at override is a notation we use to implicitly tell the compiler that we intentionally want these methods to override any methods that we have in the superclass or the parent class. This also instructs it to make sure we are doing correct implementations of an interface. So if we are going to have a method, a typo in the method, then it's going to error out. So it's more of a safety guardrail for us as developers, because the code could possibly run, but it's good practice to have at override. It gives us that safety net, that we are not going to have typos, that we are going to implement methods with the correct parameters. Yeah, it's a really good feature. So as you can see, so in the product service, what we have is first we have the private product repository, then we have the first method is add. So we're going to implement this one with this guy. Yeah, so the first one that I implemented during that time was this one, get product. So return product repository defined by ID. These ones are like very common. This is what we do in Mongoose. Also almost something similar we do with Prisma. So having experience with those ones really helps. So find by ID, you pass in the ID, and then the way we are doing exceptions is we do an add dot or else, and then add dot or else, we give it this how do we call them, lambda functions. Yeah, arrow functions, lambda function. Then we create a new error. That's why we have the error, the new product not found exception. If you check out the exception is here. So public class product not found exception extends runtime exception. And we have a constructor. What is the constructor to? It takes in a message, a string. It takes in a string, which is a message, and then it calls super with the message. So yeah, what does super do? Okay. Guys, forgive me, my object-oriented knowledge is in the bins. I'm learning on the fly with this one, I'm not gonna lie. What does calling super do? Okay, so Grog is gonna tell us. Great question. Let's break down what super message does. So for example, this is my code. What super actually does, when you write super message, you are calling the constructor of the parent class. Okay, in this case, runtime exception has this constructor. So runtime exception has this message. It gets a message too. It's to cause fill in struck. By writing super, you're telling Java, hey parent class, please do your normal initialization work and so this error message for me. What if you don't call super? You could write this, it will compile. Okay, it calls super with no arguments, so for you, but there are no arguments. Oh, okay, so like we throw an error right here, then when we catch it, yeah, they try catch. Okay, that is good. And also there's this thing that I wanted to also ask. So for these models, I wanted to, okay, I'm gonna copy that, then explain to me what the annotations do. Bro, I could go get her. Generates constructors with all fields as parameters. Many images can belong to him. So the foreign key is going to be the product ID. Thanks to Lombok. So Lombok is a really nice Lombok. So we are down and now we are down 30 minutes and I've written our code. Thank you, time management. Time management is not letting me do anything. Okay, guys, let's go back to the product service and we're going to implement some of these methods with this guy right here, this big man. Or should I just do it by myself? Do I really need him to explain some of these things? If I don't understand it, then because he has the repository. That's one good thing that he did. So yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go to the service. Then we're gonna go to the product service. So here we have the interface, product DTO. So this one returns the product DTO, so convert. So this is a new method, so I'm gonna add that. Okay, leave the product DTO again. So the product service right here. So it's going to return a product DTO. So we're going to say product DTO, and then we convert. Okay, just calling it convert to DTO will work. Okay, I can say convert to product DTO, but whatever we are going to chain these on, because we are going to do chaining or dot annotations, will be an object or an instance of a product service. So we will know it's doing this specifically. So what it's going to do is going to take in the product, we're going to take in the product class. Yep. One related problem. Where is the problem? Tell me about the problem. Okay. Oh yeah. Because it doesn't implement every single method. We're gonna do our override. Then we're gonna say public product DTO. And this one I'm guessing, I'm not really sure. Then we're gonna say convert to DTO, then like so. But see, we have to return something. Okay, we gotta return something. So that was a guess from me. So like, let's see the service. Okay, so the DTO is like a middleman, or yeah. So yeah, should we first do the DTO, or should I jump and see how it does everything? Mm.
So here we just come here to say product repository find by ID. So first go to find if the product actually exists before we delete. So find by ID dot if exists. Then we're just going to call the delete to actually delete it. So here the first thing we'll do right here is to find the product by ID, right? So if the product does exist, then you're just going to delete it, right? So but if it doesn't exist, here we can just say okay, or else we can just come here to say okay, if it doesn't exist, we can just throw a message by using the or else right here. Then in that case, we're going to come down right here to pass in a function to actually throw a message for us. So here I'm going to break this one right down, break it down right here, and then I'm going to have this that we're going to throw new product not find exception. So let's break it down from somewhere. Okay, let me break it down from here. Okay, so in this case now, if the product is not found, it's going to throw exception, but if the product is found, it's going to get it deleted, right? So the next one we're going to do right here, let's come to
okay. So okay, so the first thing that we do is we're going to return product repository that find by ID, and we're going to do ID. What's wrong? Yeah, we don't return that. Ha. Did he return? Nope. I don't know. No. So you don't return, it's void. So you find by ID, and so once you found it by ID, and then you can do if present or else. So if present, you're going to say product repository delete then we do our lambda function right here. See, we don't do throw. So new product not found exception, product not found. What's wrong? Yep. No, we gotta throw new.
So in this case now, if the product is not found, it's going to throw exception. But if the product is found, it's going to get it deleted, right? So the next one we're going to do right here, let's come to get, or we're going to come back to all these ones later because they are complex. The update, the
Yeah, guys, remember the best way to learn something new is by actually doing it. That way you get out the muscle memory and you get to learn those. They're these smaller concepts that you normally not learn them on here, but you need them whenever you're doing that project. Yeah. So whenever you're programming, just whenever you're learning, you're doing a tutorial, make sure you're writing code on the side. Yeah. Just don't watch it. Don't binge watch it. Unless you're using a strategy because you can binge watch it, then come back now. Um, especially when you are completely new. You see, for me, I'm not new to programming, so I do code, but not in Java. When you're completely new, there's this technique that you can use. So you normally, for example, you're learning Node.js or you're learning JavaScript. The first thing you do is sit down and watch a 12-hour tutorial like a movie. I'm not saying you do the whole 12 hours in a single day. Just watch it several times a week. Get it done in a week, just watching it like a movie. And what that does is you see how things are done. You know what the language is capable of. So that when you come back again, watching it while you do it, you'll have some intuition, you'll have some knowledge that it can be done. So maybe I can look up how it's done. That gives you an edge if you are completely new to programming. Avoid using AI tools when you're learning, because right now, if I want, I can possibly jump into my favorite AI editor and push out a lot of Java code, but I can promise you it's probably gonna be shitty code. It's probably not gonna be good code. So the first thing you're gonna do is you understand how good code looks like. And once you can understand how good code looks like, then you can use AI to speed up you writing good code. Because if you don't know how good code looks like, you're just gonna do it. Might work. But at the end of the day, you're probably not following best practices. You're probably not doing it the way it's supposed to be done. So yeah, avoid AI tools, whatever you're learning, to help you learn faster.
They are really complex, so we're going to make this one, we're going to come back to this. So now let's find, this one is very easy. Let's find all products by ID. So let's just say product repository dot find all. This is very easy, the easiest of all, right? So
guys, I'm gonna go also product repository dot find all. So yeah, I have an AI autocomplete helping me, but this one is not like the AI level editor. It's not going to suggest like very huge code blocks. I've disabled the cloud one. The cloud one is what does a lot of suggestions.
So now let's get product by category. So here we're just going to say product repository dot find by category, right? And then we're going to pass in the category, and then we're going to create this one right here as a custom.
Oh yeah, wait a minute, live it how you live it. When you stand towards in, I be standing on business. So let's say product repository dot find by category. Then we're gonna pass in the category ID, like so. If you're wondering how I'm moving so fast navigating, I'm using idea Vim, so it's a Vim plugin, a new Vim plugin. So we're gonna say create method, so it creates as a method for us. So what are we getting? Okay, let me see how it implements it
As a custom finder, JPA finder method in our repository, right? And right here we have this product right here, and we have category, find by category. But meanwhile, this category is an object. So let's see what is happening right here. So expect this one right here, and so this one is an object, and this one is supposed to be the name of the category. So what we're just going to do right here, we're going to come, sorry, what I mean object is that this one is a complete, it's not a string, right? It's not just a name, but it's a complete object, of which actually requires the object passed in here. But we're just trying to find this category by name. So what we're just going to do right here is to come back right here. So we're going to say find by category name right here, and we're just going to go back right here to say the name of the category right here, and this will solve the problem. So we're going to actually find the category. This query is going to be generated based on the name of the category we're trying to find, right? And that solves the problem right here.
What does Wait. Category ID. Find by. Wait. Let me see if it auto does that for you. Find by no. If it auto does that for you, bro, if it auto does that, then that's crazy.
And the next one we're going to do right here is the brand. So let's just go.
What? We've not implemented that method. Wait, it's an interface. Yeah, it's an interface. How does it work? How does it work? Get the category ID. How does that work? If let me ask AI right here. If it does that, then that's crazy. Then Java is goated for that. If it does that, then that's crazy. That's crazy. That's big. That's big right there. That will be humongously crazy. Like for real. I don't work wrong here. Okay, so I have added a custom JPA method. Is there a place where I will implement it, or is it done automatically? Yes. What? That's crazy. That would be crazy. No. That's crazy. That's crazy. Guys, that's magic right there. That's magic. Wow. That's crazy. That's magic. What the hell? Reads the method name, passes it using naming convention rules, automatically generates this. Bro, select from products where category ID is equals to 1. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. Proof, just use it anywhere. What the hell? That's crazy. Guys, you see what I'm saying? Like, that's magical for real. That's crazy. That's why people are so fucking crazy about Spring. It's because it does a lot of things for you. Okay. Okay. There's some places where you probably gonna need to do. Okay, so for this case, you'll have to write your own that's fucking interesting though. That's interesting. That's hella interesting. Most of them you'll be just writing it for you. That's so interesting. And yeah, just blows my mind, man. It blows my fucking mind. Get products by brand. So here we'll also do product repository dot find by brand ID. brand name. You pass in the brand name. Then you create the method. So if you cannot resolve, bro, this is crazy. This is crazy for real. Like, damn. Actually, it's not complex enough for us to look at that. And that will automatically do it for me. That's crazy. That's still crazy to me. That's still crazy. That's still hella crazy. That's still crazy. Come on, guys. Product repository. Find by brand and string. Bro, if this is how you do it, then it's fucking coded, man. No, look at that. Look at that. This is crazy though. So it's going to do everything for me. Ha. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me ask this. What will this resolve to? What would this resolve to? Okay, let's see. What? That's crazy. Man. See category, we have a name, and that's so interesting, guys. Hey, oh man, it's like magic. Get product by name. Product repository dot find by name. Okay, we're gonna use, there's a reason we use idea for this, because wow, it does a lot of things for you. Yep, look at that. I'm telling you, look at that. Look at what it does. Look at what it does. Find by name. It'll do everything for you. That's crazy, bruh. That's crazy though. Product repository. Find by brand. Find by brand and name. Guys, count products by brand name. Look at this. Look at all these autocomplete, man. Look at that. Count by bruh, look at all these tips that ID is doing for me. That's crazy. That's so interesting. These tools, these developer tools are like going to accelerate you. And look at that, bro. Tell me what, that's magic. For me, that's magic. And damn, the developer experience is so phenomenal. That's all I can say, man. Whenever you're doing, JS, you write everything, man. There's no these good developer tools that you can just use to do autocomplete for you. Or, bruh, this is phenomenal. This is fantastic. And damn. So these are more or less gets, okay? So gets are simpler to implement when we come to creations and posts and updates and patches. That's why we see the real work. So I'm gonna just
here to return. So I'm just gonna return. Sorry, I'm gonna say repository.find by. So this one is find by brand, right? Find by brand, and then we're just going to pass in the brand name right in there, the name. So this one also is a custom JPA finder. So this one is a straightforward one. And let's go back right here. So the next one we're going to do here is to find product by category and brand.
Voice is simply faster, more natural, and more flexible than typing. He said he's voice-pilled, and I can see why. WhisperFlow delivers what Reed calls the future of AI interaction. Here's how it works. Instead of
so here we're going to say repository.find by category. Yeah, by category name. Actually, it's not category name, category and brand. So we're going to remove this one right here. So actually find by category and brand. So here we're going to pass in the category and we're going to pass in the brand right here. So let's create this one right here as a custom finder method. But meanwhile, there's another problem right here. So this one also, just like we did last time, it's going to be category name and brand right here. Category name by brand. So now let's go back to this product right here and see what is happening. So right here we see we have category right here. We have this category. So if we are finding by this category is a complete object. It has an ID, it has a name, it has other things. So if we go right here, we see that this category has an ID and a name. So if we are passing in that object, it means we are finding by category both the ID and the name. But what we're just finding, we are just trying to find the category by the name right here, right? So that is the query we are combining right here to find by category, name, and brand. So right here, the product actually has a brand right here. So we are getting the name of this category right here plus the brand to actually generate the query. So here we're just going to say, okay, the category name is electronics. So the brand is Samsung. So we can just find all electronics that belong to Samsung, right? So we just put the brand Samsung and what category are we finding? Electronics. So we just say, okay, find all Samsung electronics from the warehouse, right? So that is just what we're doing right here. So now that is gone. So let's go find by name. Find product by name. So this one we're just going to say repository right here dot find. Oh, sorry, this is dot find by name. This is name right here, and then we just pass in the name. So let's create this one also as okay, so it's straightforward. So let's go back here again. So the next one right here is to find by brand and name. Have we not done that? Okay, this is category name, this is brand, this is category name, this is find by category, this is find by brand, this is find by category name and brand, this is find by name. So this one is find by brand and name, right? Okay, so let's go here to do the same thing. So let's say repository dot find by category name. No, this is find by brand, find by brand and name right here. Then we're going to pass in the name. This one actually is going to be brand, so that we don't get confused. So here we're going to pass in the brand, and then we're going to pass in the name right here. And let's create this one. Okay, so this one also is straightforward. So we have the brand, we have the name right here. So we have the name, we have the brand. So we're just combining these two attributes together to generate the JPA finder query, finder method to actually get that query generated for us at runtime, right? So the last one right here is to actually count the product by brand and name. So actually we can just count, for example, we have Samsung laptop. We can just, okay, how many Samsung laptops do we have in our warehouse? So we'll put in the brand name and put in the name laptop. Or we are looking for Samsung TVs. So it's okay, how many Samsung TVs do we have in a warehouse? So we count by brand and name. That is just what this method is doing for us. So it's also a straightforward method. So here we're just going to say repository dot count. You see right here, so this one right here tells us that we can actually write a finder method. So here we see count. If we are just going to count this product, we're just going to say repository.count. It's going to count the whole product. But now we are writing a condition with which the product should be counted. So we should count by brand and by name. So this one right here, this dot right here means you can use this count right here to form any query you want to form, provided it follow the rules of JPA finder method, right? So here we're just going to say count by brand. We can
Oh shit. Oh. Okay.
My brand a name right here, and then we're going to pass in the brand, and then we're going to pass in the name right there. So then we're going to generate this one in our repository, right? Cool. So you see there's no noise here. It doesn't make any noise because all these ones actually follow the rules of creating JPA Finder queries, right? Okay, so now we are done with all this. So now let's go back to the implementation of these updates and the add products to database. All right, so in this video, we're going to start implementing the add method and the update method. But the first one we're going to do right here is the add one. But meanwhile, before we start implementing this one right here, I'm going to call your attention to this dependency right here. You can see that we are using the product repository as a dependency right here, right? But you can see that this product is not highlighted. It's like we've not used it. But despite the fact that we have used it right here, it's still showing that we have not used it, right? So which means it has not been injected. And the reason why it has not been injected is because we are using this annotation right here. So this one is a Lombok annotation that is used for constructor injection, right? And this annotation right here will only pick up variables right here, properties that are finer, non-static finer. That is what it's going to do. So now this dependency right here is not yet injected by this annotation. So for us to get it injected, let's make it finer right here. You see, so now that we make it finer, it has changed color, which means it has seen that we have used it right all through here, right? So always remember, anytime you are using this annotation to do constructor injection, always make sure that the dependencies that you're using it to inject
is a stereotype. We call it service. All are constructors and
is a finer. You declare it as a finer, right? Okay, so having said that, now we're going to start implementing this add method, this add product method right here. So the first we're going to do here, I'm going to open up our project directory, and then we're going to come here to create a new package. So this one I'm going to call request.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus. And this is your brain when you're in the zone. But getting in the zone and staying there, that feels more like luck than something you can control. So that's why we made Brain FM. It's like a do not disturb.
Brain FM.
And in this request, I'm going to right click and create a class called add product, add. So I'm going to say add product request, and I'm going to click on OK. So why are we creating this one right here? So the thing is that, let me go here.
Let me do some comments, okay, guys? Implement.
Let me go to this model right here. So it's not advisable, most times it's not really it's not a good practice to actually work with this model direct, because this is the model this is the direct table in our database. You can see right here it's an entity, right? And it's holding different properties right here. This one is holding. So it's not really advisable to work with this model direct, because most times we're going to run into problems of relations and so on and so forth like that. So the best way to work.
Let me come back in a minute. I'll be back in like 5 minutes only.